Watching episode 5 of Rachel Meets broadcast every week on Outtake Community Media YouTube channel and Cablecom Channel 9. We've had a really great couple of weeks here on the show, and tonight is just as good. Coming up later on the show, I will be talking to Tony O'Riordan and Tess Murphy from Midland Simon Community to talk to us about the current homeless crisis in the country, but more importantly, the Longford Person of the Year Awards, and the winners were announced this morning. So really looking forward to talk to them about that. But first up, she's come all the way from Donegal to talk to us, musician Grace Day. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming all the way down.
Thanks for having me.
So you started playing music at a really young age, like 8?
Yes, I started playing violin when I was 8, and then I picked up a guitar when I was around 12, and that's when I really fell in love with it. I really love guitar, because with violin it was kind of more of a chore, I suppose, than a hobby. But then I started playing guitar, and I started writing songs right away. But then I've only kind of started writing good songs, I suppose, recently, and sharing them.
Yeah, because you were telling me before you did write your very first song at age 12.
Yeah.
What does a 12-year-old write about?
Well, really, you just kind of, I was listening to songs, you know, about love and whatnot, and I was trying to mimic them. So they weren't that good. Like, I have some old voice recordings and they're terrible.
Would you ever release them to
the
world?
No, never. But no, you have to start somewhere, I suppose, and I had to get that out of me before I started writing some decent material, I suppose.
Is it something that just comes naturally to you? Like you get the love from it just?
Yeah, I really love the process. I just felt it was natural to start writing as soon as I started playing, because I like playing other people's songs, but just there's nothing like the feeling of creating your own music, I suppose.
Brilliant. So your first single has just been released?
It has, yeah. I released it on the 15th of August, and it's called Better Guy. And yeah, it's really exciting, just trying to get it out there, get it on radio, and yeah, just get it heard.
Because you are 21, so
21.
It's really been almost 10 years in the making, this first song.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, I wrote it probably the beginning of the year, around January, February. So I just decided it was the best one to release, because I have other material as well, but it was hard to pick which one I would release first, but I think I'm happy with the one I chose anyway.
Is it inspired by anything in particular, or what does inspire you?
Yeah, it's inspired by, well, it was a negative experience, and I just kind of felt like I had to write about it as a therapy kind of for myself. So it's a song about self-image, and it was someone who made a hurtful comment about my appearance, and I decided to write a song about it, and I felt better afterwards. So that's what songwriting kind of is for me. It's kind of a therapeutic process, I suppose.
I think it's a lot easier to write about sad stuff than happy songs.
Yeah, exactly.
As well.
It's so much easier.
Unless you're Pharrell, and then you can just write that song.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I've probably twice as many sad songs as happy songs. That's so true.
And do you hope to release them all, or are you still trying to fine tune?
Yeah, I have a couple of songs that I want to release. It's just trying to get the time, I suppose, the finance to get recording them. I'd love to do an EP soon. That's what I'm working towards. So I hope to release something else around Christmas time or so.
Brilliant. Because you are still in college, so it must be hard to juggle everything.
It is hard, yeah, because I'm going to France to study abroad next week, a week from today. So I'll be over there for a couple of months. So I'll kind of have to put everything on hold for a while, but I'll still be writing and singing. I'll be bringing my guitar over anyway.
France will certainly bring some amazing new experiences.
Yeah, exactly. You need to experience things, I suppose, to get inspiration for your songs as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
What is it you're going to study in France?
I'm studying French, and well, I'm actually teaching English and hoping to learn French at the same time. Wow. So I'll be teaching English to secondary school kids, and I'll hopefully be using music kind of to do that, because it's a great way, I think, of learning a language. So I'm bringing my guitar over. I'll get them singing some English songs.
Cool, because it's creative writing you're studying in anyway.
Yeah, creative writing with French. So I suppose that kind of feeds into the songwriting as well.
Could you ever imagine yourself doing anything else, or it seems to all feed into each other, the writing
Yeah, it
and
all kind of
creativity.
does. Yeah, I'm happy it chose that course because I think the quality of my lyrics have improved a lot since I started the creative writing course, because it's kind of just like putting poetry to music, I suppose. So we do a bit of that in the course, and yeah, it definitely helped with my songwriting, I think.
You were saying as well that you play some of the singer-songwriter nights in NUI Galway?
Yeah, so Galway is a great city for music, and they have a lot of open mics, and that's where I sang my first original song, was in the college bar in Galway, and they're very encouraging of, I suppose, original songs. So I do a lot of open mics there, and there's also a great one in the Cellar Bar, and it's called Play, and there's a live band, and they just improvise and play along with you, like, and you can go in with an original song, just tell them the chords you're playing or the key, and they'll just play along with you. So it's fantastic.
How does it feel to have your own backing band?
It's great. Yeah, it gives you ideas for like when you're, recording the song and you're adding software instruments or whatever. So when you have the band live playing with you, like, oh, that would be nice with drums or whatever, because when you're just playing with guitar, it's kind of hard to imagine, the studio version of the song.
And how did it feel to get up and sing your own original in front of a crowd?
Yeah, it was definitely very daunting. It's much more nerve-wracking than just going and singing like a cover song, because you're watching the reactions, and you really want people to like the song, not just like your voice, that kind of way. But yeah, it was nerve-wracking, but it was great, and now I just love it. Whenever I go to open mics, I prefer nearly doing originals.
Brilliant. So you're going to France, isn't it next week?
Next week, yeah.
Until, how long is it? 6 months?
I'll be back Christmas and then out again until April. So 7 months altogether.
You'll be busy here at Christmas then, trying to release the
Yeah,
second single.
exactly, yeah.
Do you know already what single it is?
I think I do. I think it's going to be a song called When They're in Love. And yeah, I'll have to try and get it recorded when I'm back and get it released.
How many songs do you have kind of ready to record?
Ready to record, I'd say I have about 6 or 7 songs. So enough for an EP anyway.
Excellent.
And hopefully I'll keep writing in the meantime.
When you're back then for good, will you just try and work on the EP, maybe some live gigs?
Yeah, definitely. Get myself out there doing gigs is definitely my next goal, because I love performing live. I haven't done a lot of solo gigging though, so I definitely want to start playing anywhere I can play, I suppose.
Booking in. There's lots of singer-songwriter nights as Galway, Dublin. You can
Exactly,
kind of
yeah.
travel anywhere and see. What's Donegal like to play?
Donegal is good. I haven't experienced the music scene there, because I only really got into like singing my original songs when I was in college. So I was always kind of in college, and then I'd be back for a while in the summer, and I never really checked out like the music scene. But it's actually great. A town called Letterkenny. There's a lot of bars, and there's just a lot of opportunities for performing live. There wouldn't be as many singer-songwriter nights or open mic type things, but there's definitely, the music scene is good.
Amazing. Cool. So you're going to finish or close our show here tonight with an original. What song are you going to play? I'm
going to play a song called There's a Light, which is also a song I hope to release soon.
Super. That's great.
Okay.
So stay tuned for Grace Day, There's a Light, and also coming up I will be talking to Tony and Tess from the Midlands Assignment community. But right now, stay tuned for all the great stuff coming up in Longford over the next few days. great stuff happening in Longford over the next while, as you saw there. If you want to join us here in Outtake Community Media, you can do so on the 11th of October at 7:30 for our Making TV to Remember course, which I did last year, so I highly recommend. Also this Saturday in John Brown's at 9:30, the second Longford Jam. If you come along, you'll get to see great music from Lazy Revs, Barry J. Hughes and Sean Rooney, a night not to be missed. I am joined now by Tess Murphy and Tony O'Riordan from the Midland Simon community, who are going to speak to us about homelessness in Ireland and most importantly in County Longford, and as well, which was announced this morning, the Longford Person of the Year Awards. Thanks for joining me.
You're welcome.
It's really interesting to have you here just this week in particular, as yesterday it was all over the news that the night before 165 people in the inner city Dublin area, not including the Phoenix Park, Marion Square, any of the outer areas. There was, as I said, 165 people, which was the highest ever recorded homelessness issue in the city. So it's quite unimaginable for that to be happening and for the issue not to be getting any better.
Well, I suppose that is just the tip of the iceberg. As we know, we've all already seen the people who are living in, the whole families who are living in hotels, the people who are living in hostels, the people all across the country. So there are literally thousands of people and hundreds of children homeless in Ireland today.
And you know, that figure in Dublin is you know, quite startling, and we experience the same level of it here in the Midlands. Right now in Longford alone, there's over 50 people in homeless services, and we're supporting over 30 people at any one time in Longford. And I suppose the image that people have of homelessness is one that unfortunately maybe is confined to the large cities, and people think that it's people sleeping on doorways or shop fronts in the large cities of the state. But you mentioned 165 people there in Dublin. Throughout the Midlands, we're supporting over 150 people each week. And those people aren't as visible because they're in shelters. This year alone, we worked with people that were in outhouses, sleeping in cars. We're supporting people that have slept under bridges. And they're not as visible as they would if they were sleeping on the main streets of the towns in the Midlands. But unfortunately, you know, the demand is there. We have an emergency service. We operate 12 emergency beds throughout the Midlands, and they're full 24/7. One of the hardest things that our volunteers and staff have to do is that they get calls, and unfortunately people call to the service or ring the service and there's no bed for the night. So it's just the scale of the service and the demand that's there in the Midlands, and you know, we've seen it rise over the last few years.
It really is that if it's not seen, it doesn't exist kind of mentality. You'd never imagine like 50 people homeless in Longford is quite a startling figure, but
and they're the people who are actually being supported, but the shortage of houses is, first of all, it means that we can't move on those people because it's so difficult to get accommodation, but it's also forcing other people who could come forward, who, for example, I'm very associated with Longford Women's Link, where they have a domestic violence service. This shortage of accommodation is forcing women to stay in very, very dangerous situations. And again, we've seen the consequences of that in the newspaper, where there is nowhere for them to go. And women and their children are enduring horrific abuse day after day through the shortage of housing.
It's an endless cycle, really, especially with people who don't have an address. If you don't have an address, you can't get social welfare, you don't have income, you can't get an address. I know you're trying to bridge that with your houses in Tullamore and Athlone. But what else is there for people? Where else can they go?
There is hope, though. You know, I mean, you know, when the report on Dublin homelessness that was issued this week was talking about there was only a chance of 1 in 10 moving out of homelessness. Here in the Midlands, or between the voluntary service providers and the HSE and the local authorities, we have had, and the work of the Midland Simon community, we've had a lot more success than that. And we've been able to move in one particular project alone, our Housing First project that's working here in Longford and throughout the Midlands. We have been able to support 80% of the people that have come to that service into homes of their own. That's incredible. And like that, for us, that's not just the success rate, right? It's really what we believe. we believe, Midland Simon believes that if the service is got right, if it's designed in a right way, if it's delivered with compassion and respect and warmth, everyone can recover from homelessness. So we're an organisation that are at the front line dealing with crisis, but we're also an organisation that's full of hope, because we believe in the potential of people to recover from addiction, recover from mental health issues, and move out of homelessness.
While the Simon community are fantastic at doing that and have a brilliant track record, what support do the Simon community get to provide these services?
Not enough, unfortunately. We get the lowest allocation of government funding, which for every euro we get, we have to raise €1 on fundraising, and I suppose that brings us to the next point.
Well, before we get to that, the last time I met you was the last big fundraiser here in Longford, where we all got drowned, but we raised a hell of a lot of money for the Simon community.
And that was fantastic. And I suppose, like I've always said, that Longford people are really, really generous, and they reach out when they see people in trouble. So that night, even though it poured rain out of the heavens, the number of people who turned out and the money that was raised was absolutely fantastic.
33,000, and that's a very significant contribution to what we need to raise. You know, I mentioned the emergency service part of what we do. We have to raise €25 per bed per night.
Wow.
So that's 12 emergency beds. That's €300 each day of the year. So that's over 100,000. So that 30,000 is a very big contribution towards that, and it also is a very contribution to our work here in Longford as well.
Will you do the Longford Sleep Out for Simon again next year?
Oh, definitely.
I think so. I think there's something, as Tess said, in people in Longford and people in the Midlands, where they actually feel that there's something very unjust about the fact that people have to come to an organisation like the Midland Simon community for housing, that housing should be a right. And over 250, nearly 300 people there that night supporting, sleeping out. Like, that's phenomenal, and I think that's another sign that this is not acceptable in society, and that people with authority and power and people in government need to do something about it and respond to it. And as Tess said, the Longford County receives only 1.5% of the government's total spend on homelessness, and there's no reason for that other than that's the way it's always been.
But the other thing is, I suppose, Tony mentioned housing first. Again, people think of people are homeless on the street, let's get them a bed for the night. Not taking into account at all the other issues they might have. A bed for the night is not the same as having your own house, your own front door to close. So we put no barriers in the place of the person. The first thing they get is a home of their own. Then we support them with whatever problems they have to stay in that home and to maintain that tenancy, whether it's physical things like paying the rent, making sure the rubbish is put out, those kind of things that people who are out of home might have forgotten about. Those very basic things that will keep a person in their home, their health, their physical health, their mental health, dealing with any addiction that they might have, because the population in general has all those problems as well. So there's no reason to keep a homeless person out of a home of their own for those particular reasons. So I think the model that we have is housing first, and that's kind of
amazing. And I suppose we've been pioneers in Longford and throughout the Midlands and the state in housing first. It's a model that developed originally in the States, and I suppose we knew that there was need to be a game changer here. We needed, it wasn't good enough that people were staying long term in hostels and shelters, and we looked to the States, this model that had an 85% success rate of moving people that were long term in shelters and hostels into homes of their own. And I suppose we're delighted to see that it's working here as well. And now it's becoming something that is spreading throughout Ireland, That's something we're very proud of, that we've kind of played a key role in bringing a new approach into Ireland in terms of housing first. And I suppose the most important thing in it is that, people that have been written off, people that have been in and out of homelessness for years, to see them have a home of their own and taking, responsibility with support for bills and maintenance. I mean, that's what gives us the fire in the belly, and that's what gives our volunteers the encouragement to keep going as well in difficult times.
Stuff that we take for granted.
Yeah.
We just don't know how lucky we are.
No, we don't really. And then again, it isn't that a person is born to be homeless. Anything can happen to anybody. Anybody can fall into a misfortune. you know, so we shouldn't be complacent either, I suppose.
No. Well, as you mentioned, Longford people do try their hardest, and they are really charitable and giving, and I do agree that Longford people are the most giving people in the world, and I have lived in lots of places, and I always come back here and think the same. So you are appreciating them for their good and kindness, and it was announced this morning the Longford People of the Year, which is on, is it the 11th of October?
14th. Friday the 14th at Longford Arms.
Yeah.
Amazing. So how many, there's 8, is there 8 people?
8 nominees, and I suppose again it's an opportunity. These are people who have like gone beyond the call of duty in their own community. You know, they've achieved something, or they've given a lot of their time to voluntary work to make their community a better place, a place to be proud of. So this People of the Year gives the other people of Longford a chance to appreciate them, while at the same time supporting the work we do for homelessness.
Brilliant.
And this is kind of a direct kind of connection really, but I suppose the word community in Simon in our name is hugely important, because I suppose at the time of crisis we provide a community support around someone that's homeless, and I suppose what's happening in this Longford People of the Year event is that we're recognising people that throughout the year 24/7 are champions in their community, and they're being selected by people in their community, and like the sponsors for this event are Longford Leader and also Frank Kieran of Kieran Construction. Again, you know, they're people that are champions, quietly champions. I suppose Kieran Construction in particular, Frank has not only been an excellent employer in the county, been a top-class entrepreneur, very proud Longford man, but also is getting behind an event like this because he's kind of moved by the work we do. And also within the Longford Leader, you know, one of our big challenges is raising awareness about the existence of homelessness in Longford, and it's great to have the Longford Leader providing that support.
And Outtake Community Media, of course.
Absolutely.
It
is good to give us this opportunity.
No, it's fantastic, and
Yeah.
I know from work in the Longford Leader that they do pioneer everything that's going on, so it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it was in the paper this morning, the nominees, and it's quite an eclectic mix.
It is.
Of all kinds of community people, from sports to...
Sports to people who are very active in their local communities. They keep, like, the people who work in their local communities, I suppose, are the backbone of the community, really, because they are the people, you know, who keep the local hall going, who keep the football club going, who make sure, you know, they volunteer in the civil defence, they volunteer in the ICA, they... if you didn't have those people in a parish, I think it would be a very dead parish.
Yes, because as you said, they're the ones that keep it ticking over and keep the community spirit alive. Brilliant. So if people want to go to the gala, how do they get tickets?
They get tickets by getting in touch with Noel Green, and his number, you can put it up in the...
absolutely.
We can call it out now if you want as well.
Yes, do, please.
Great name for numbers. So Noel Green, if you want tickets, at 087 961 5766.
Brilliant.
And if they can't go, we'd be delighted to get a donation as well.
Yes, of course. Well, hopefully people go. It's going to be a great night.
It's going to be a great night.
It's going to be a great night, yes. We're looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome, Rachel.
Well, as you heard, you can contact Noel Green to get tickets to the Simon Community Longford Person of the Year Gala. Check us out here next week, as always, on Outtake Community Media YouTube channel and on Facebook as well. And we are on Cablecom Channel 9.
The dawn, and it's another day. They'll see a smile, they'll see a neutral face, it's always been in you, oh, it's always been in you, oh. And this fight is what will make you a fight that's always been in you. And it's a fight, it's always been in you, oh, it's always been in you, oh. Here are the stars, and it's another night. The pain seems to grow along with the shrinking light. 'Cause the ghosts swarm my brain, and my eyes see sunlight and turn it to rain. And my heart, it beats so fast, or it barely beats at all. And I'm praying this pain won't last. But there's a light that's trying to break through. It's a light that's always been in you. It's a light that's always been in you. Oh, it's always been in you. Oh. This fight is what will make you a fight that's always been in you. It's a fight that's always been in you. It's always been in you. Oh, just cry, won't you let the tears flow? 'Cause these feelings will come, but these feelings will go. And I know there'll be magical days. For now it's just fine. Today is not one of those. It's just fine. Today is not one of those days. It's just fine. Today is not one of those. It's just fine. Today is not one of those. Not one of those. Not one of those. 'Cause we've known such pain, but we're not our pain. We're more than that.